flipping the on record, off record. I still count words when they got it. On record, off record. Let them take advantage. I was wildin'. Off record deals. Change column for the quote. On record, I still want the act, not the ghost.
Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going over the pistol that you see in my hands and that you guys saw throughout the intro. This is a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield 2.0 Performance Center 4-inch optics ready shield in 9mm with an optic. So that's a mouthful. But for those of you guys who weren't paying attention earlier this year, I believe it was springtime-ish, Smith & Wesson released this pistol that you guys see right here. It comes in several different variants. All of them would be the 4-inch version. This one here is not ported. It's a 9mm. They make them in 40 and 45 as well. They make the ported and non-ported in all of them. They make the optics ready version with an optic like we have here. This optic did come with the gun. They make an optics ready version without the optic, and then they make just the regular 4-inch version of it. So that is a lot of new SKUs for Smith & Wesson, but one thing that's for sure is they wouldn't be making all these SKUs if shields weren't selling. And last I heard, at the end of 2018, they had, at that point rather, they had already made and sold over 1 million Smith & Wesson shields. So these guns are popular for sure, hence the increased amount of SKUs, hence the one that we have here. So without question, optics on pistols are becoming more popular, and they're starting to become more popular on carry guns as well. So this pistol is not really a surprise in that regard. However, as of the filming of this video, the standard M&Ps in 2.0 version are not out with optics yet, so that kind of befuddled a lot of folks. But either way, a lot of people were happy to see this version. So we'll come in a little bit closer and go into the details of the pistol coming up next. As we usually do, we'll start out at the bottom here and sort of work our way up for some semblance of order here. Now, the pistol ships with 1 7 and 1 8 round mag, and what's really cool is that, again, due to the popularity of shields out there, there are companies now making mag extensions for them. So I've used the X-Tech Tactical 10 round mag throughout this test. I have 4 of them. We had no issues at all in terms of function with it. One time, it had a failure to lock back, and that was on one that I didn't change the spring out simply because I wanted to see how it would do. Now X-Tech does, recommend a spring change, and they send one out with it, but I just wanted to test it because I test stuff. That's what I do. But these ones here otherwise function perfectly. And as you guys can see there, it obviously extends the length of the gun. But I think the added benefit of that is twofold. So if you're somebody who carries the gun concealed and you want a reload, like a spare magazine that has 10 rounds in it, that's an advantage. And also, if you're somebody who doesn't want a ton of different guns and you want a gun that you can carry all day, and then when you come home at night, you need a little extra capacity if you want to use it as like a nightstand gun, so that way you have 10+1 versus the 7+1 or 8+1. 2 more rounds. I've never heard anybody in a gunfight afterwards say, that they had too many rounds and wish they didn't have all those rounds. So it's certainly a good thing, and I like the option out there. It makes the gun more versatile in my opinion. So the 2.0 has the improved texture grip, at least that's my opinion, over the 1.0. The 1.0s are a little bit slippery. All of my 1.0 M&Ps have some sort of grip tape on there. None of my 2.0s do. So from the factory, they're just fine. Some people think they're a little bit too aggressive. However, me personally, I would actually rather them be a little bit more aggressive, but I'm, kind of a freak in that regard. I like aggressive grips to just make the gun stick. That said, the gun's pretty flat shooting, as you guys have already seen, so it's not a huge deal in terms of muzzle rise and jump and things like that. But we do have our mag release that is not ambidextrous, however, it is reversible. So that's my personal preference. Reason for that is if you have ambidextrous mags, mag release, sometimes when you go to hit that mag release, it can actually get hung up on my knuckle on my other hand, and it won't kick the mag out. So I definitely prefer the reversible ones. It's very simple to do. Check your owner's manual or consult with a YouTube expert. There's lots of videos on it. It's very quick and easy, so no issues there in that regard. The grip angle on the shield is one thing that a lot of people like, especially versus say like a Glock. If you're not a seasoned Glock shooter, most people are going to point with the M&P pistols a little bit more naturally. It has the same grip angle as like a 1911. And a lot of people just naturally, as you point out your finger, that's the way they hold the gun, and they don't have to train for grip angle on that. So that is good as well. Coming up here on the left side of the pistol, we do have a couple controls that are not found on the right side. So if you guys are lefties out there and you're looking for an ambidextrous slide lock, slide release, keep looking. You're not gonna find it on this gun, but it is, of course, our slide lock and slide release on the left side here. This is our takedown lever that we'll get to here in just a second. They do make versions of this pistol with an external thumb safety. However, I prefer one without. Personal preference on that, but it is what it is. We'll move on to the trigger. Now this one, again, performance series. I also have a standard 2.0, which I guess I can just grab right here. Jump off camera for a second, come back in. This is my standard 2.0, not performance series. There's a full review on the channel. This one, of course, has the 3-inch barrel. We'll just do a size comparison since I have it out right now and kind of show you how those stack up size-wise. Everything's the same with the exception of the length. And obviously we have a slightly longer barrel in there. Now, talking about barrel length, when you go with a 4-inch barrel versus, I believe, a 3.1 on the standard shield, what you're going to gain there is a little bit of added velocity. Depending on the round, it's really going to change. It's anywhere from 40 to 75 to 80 feet per second you're going to gain, which is nice. Extra velocity is always good. Get your extra energy as well. However, I've shot them side by side. There is a slight, and I mean a very slight difference in terms of this one being just a touch softer shooting. And actually, sometimes that's not the case. Like if you look at the FN 509 or the Glock 45 and Glock, what is it, 19X, those guns actually shoot a little bit softer with short slides. So I'm not sure where the magic sauce is there, but this one does shoot a touch softer. That said, most folks really aren't going to notice the difference in ammo is going to make a bigger difference than that. But where I was trying to go here was the performance center trigger. That's what I was trying to get at. And again, just verifying that we are clear. The 2.0 triggers are much improved over the 1.0s. I don't know anybody that would disagree with that who's had both. The 1.0s, the big problem they had, particularly with the original ones that came out, I think in like 2012, and I have 2 of them, is that they didn't have a very good reset at all. The brake, not bad at all. The brake was always like 5-6 pounds, something like that. But the reset was almost imperceivable, and a lot of people who shoot off reset really hated that. So the 2.0s absolutely improved that, and the brake on this one, again, being performance center, is even better. So this one will break right around 4.5 pounds on my scale every time. It is a hinged trigger, so some folks don't like that. I do not mind it at all. I've never noticed it while shooting. So you have to actually actuate the bottom portion there. If you don't do that, the gun will not fire. That is part of the safety mechanism of it. It prevents it from firing when dropped. So unlike, like the P320 and many other guns out there, it's never had an issue with that. Another thing to notice before I actually break the shot is that we do have an over travel stop built into the frame. That was not there on the early shields, so you had a little bit more over travel. On this one, we're going to come up, take the slack up, and then you're going to hit your wall, and it's super clean break right at 4.5 pounds. Performance center triggers across the board from Smith & Wesson are pretty good. This one's no exception. And the reset, if I'll get it close to my mic, I'm not trying to commit suicide here on YouTube, I promise. And you guys should be able to hear that. It's a pretty audible reset. So it's very predictable. It's not super long. There's really not a whole lot to complain about. That said, some of you guys are just trigger snobs. I get it. That's cool. If you are that guy, there's a ton of different aftermarket triggers for it. Definitely the most popular is the Apex. That said, I'm not planning on changing mine out, but if you guys want to, the option's there. With the trigger out of the way, the trigger guard itself is probably a little bit bigger than most concealed carry options, but that said, if you're wearing gloves, make sure that the gloves that you're wearing, if you plan on EDCing this, will fit in that trigger guard, because it's not going to be as big as a lot of full-size pistols would be, so just keep that in mind. Continuing out forward, on the dust cover there, we do not have a 1913 or a light rail of any kind. That said, there's options if you guys want to add a rail. The TLR6 would probably be my recommendation at this point. It's a good light. It's not overpowering. The controls for small lights that fit on guns like this are very good. I think Crimson Trace makes one as well. I'm sure there are others that I'm just not thinking of off the top of my head. But then you continue out front and you'll see the slide there, a little bit extra slide than you're probably used to. We have these little serrations here out front, and I've said it before in Shield videos. I don't know what they're for. Like, I think it's for people doing press checks, but you can't press check with them because where you're going to grab onto there, as soon as you start to bring it back, the frame opens up and gets a little bit wider because it has a steel chassis in there. So I think they're mostly for aesthetics or shaving weight rather. Either way, I mean, it's not an issue. It's just something I always point out. I wish they went up a little bit longer. If you guys like forward serrations, you'd probably be looking for that as well. The slide has the Armornite finish on there. It's a stainless steel slide. I was up to the factory not too long ago, watched these things being made. Pretty cool stuff. And the Armornite finish is Smith & Wesson's version of melanite or nitride or salt bath nitriding. And it's very good in terms of gives you good surface hardness, good corrosion resistance. It actually penetrates into the metal somewhat. So that way, even if you start to show wear on a gun, particularly a carry gun, you're still going to have that protection that the nitride offers, which certainly is nice. The sights on this one are fiber optic, and they're really well thought out. Honestly, I don't know who makes them. Shoot, Smith & Wesson might make them themselves, but either way, we have a green tube up front. And what's nice about it is, unlike a lot of fiber optic sights where the fiber optic is really easily going to break, this one has like metal shrouding around it, and that's both the front and the rear. And I definitely like it. I shot this gun a good bit without the optic on there, and I mean, I really like them. They're very easy to pick up, quick, fast, intuitive, all the things you're looking for. We have serrations there on the rear of them. I should also point out when talking about the slide that we do have a loaded chamber indicator there. It's a little hole that if there was a piece of brass in there, you'd be able to see it. However, of course, at night, not exactly useful, but it is worth noting there. If you choose the option with the optic, the one you're going to get is going to be this one here from Shield. It's a coincidence that it is a Shield pistol and a Shield sight. They are not the same company. These are actually made in Great Britain. This one has a 4 MOA dot. Battery life, if the actual hood is on there when they rate it, is 3 years. That said, it's auto adjusting, meaning that the actual intensity of the dot is going to be related to the ambient light around you. So there's a little sensor in there that's picking up the light and then projecting the dot out there onto the glass. I should point out the glass isn't glass. The whole thing's polymer. We'll get to that here in just a second. But either way, what you need to know there is that in low light conditions, particularly if you're using a light, you're really not going to be able to use the red dot in most lighting situations. All lighting's different, so I can't say never, but just be aware of that. That said, what's cool about it is the sight mounts very low and it's a very short sight overall, so you can actually easily, even without suppressor height sights, co-witness with your irons. So they're absolutely usable in the event that you're in low light and you don't actually see the red dot on there. Now, in normal daylight conditions, it's very easy to pick up. It's crisp. There's no issues with it, and really not too bad at all. Even, they say, without the hood on there, you can expect the battery to last over a year. So that's good. For folks who are concealed carrying it, you're going to want that, right? Change the battery once a year, you're good to go. Unfortunately, you do have to actually remove the optic to change the battery. It is a CR2032 battery, so very common, but you do have to remove it if you're actually going to swap that out. So just keep that in mind. Again, doubling back to the fact that the glass is not glass, it's actually polymer, as is the housing. And I was actually, I was a little bit, kind of like polymer housing. I'm a big fan of the RMR and the Delta Point Pro, as you guys know. Those aren't polymer. That said, the folks over at Shield Sights there, what they said is the reason they went with the polymer for the actual glass portion of the optic is, in their testing, the polymer was able to withstand forces of 10 times more than glass. And that actually makes sense if you think about it. One of the advantages of polymer is that it has some give to it. And if you look at like things that are strong, right? So metal things that are strong tend to be very thick, rigid, and not move at all. Polymer things that are strong tend to move and kind of go back and forth there. Like, look at like tall buildings, those things are designed to sway, and that makes them stronger, similar to a lot of polymer items in terms of impact. I haven't torture tested this one or anything like that. That said, it's been scuffed up, nicked, all of those sorts of things, and we haven't had any issues with it, so that's good. A lot of pistol red dots out there, putting enough rounds through them, I've killed them just from firing. This one right now has about 1,200 rounds through it between myself and Talon Sai, and it's running just fine, no issues at all to report. Since we just went over reliability, the big item that I need to cover before we close the video out is going to be price point. Now, this version that you see right here, me holding in my hands, this is the most expensive Shield out there. Reason being is that, of course, it has the optic on there, the optics cut, fiber optic sights, performance center, action, all of those sorts of things. So this one here is MSRP'd at like $828, I do believe. And street price, looking around before this video, you can definitely find it under $800. We will drop links below for those of you guys who are looking to pick it up. But that is the MSRP on it. But different versions of the 4-inch Shield out there from the Performance Center. If you get just sort of like the base version with just fiber optic sights, 4-inch version, it's looking like right around $500 street price. Now, if you're looking for just a basic Shield and you don't want the Performance Center upgrades, you can take another $100 off that, or maybe a little bit more depending on where you look street price. So it really just kind of depends what you want. Now, they also offer the other versions, like talked about. The porting, for whatever reason, seems to add about $30 street price, not sure on MSRP, just depending on where you look. And then if you want the optics cut and those sorts of things, it's going to change the price point as well. So there's prices sort of all along the gamut in terms of the Smith & Wesson Shield 2.0s. That said, they're just great guns at this point. They've developed an excellent reputation for reliability, accuracy, and now with the improvements of the 2.0, the added grip texture, the better triggers, of course, the option now for optics cut, they're just excellent guns in my opinion. I don't know that I've had a malfunction ever with a Shield, and I have like 5 or 6 of them at this point. And one of them I carry almost all the time. It's one of my main carry guns. As you guys who watched my What Do I Carry video know, it's a frequent gun that goes in my rotation, and I trust it. And it's just a solid gun overall. I'm not sure really what else to say about that. If you guys have any questions about the pistol, anything we didn't answer in the video, by all means, you can post those down below in the comment section. You can also post those over at my Facebook page. As always, if you shoot me a message over there, I get back to everyone. Sometimes it takes me a few days, but on YouTube in the comment section, I don't always see them. So there is that. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, that's the best place to reach me. If you're not seeing 3 videos a week-ish here and you're subscribed, go ahead and hit that notification bell if you've done that already and you're still not seeing them. I recommend you sign up for my email list. I shoot out 1 email a week. It's not super spammy. It has all the videos of the week and about 3, 4 maybe deals that I find along the way. So if this thing goes on sale somewhere, it will be in the email and you guys will have it. And also, another good fact about the email is that it's a direct link between you and I, and there's no gigantic corporate media censoring us and blocking what you guys can see like there is on a lot of social media sites. So that's pretty much it, guys. Thanks for watching. If you are not subscribed to this channel and you like what you saw here, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video.
But you gotta give the people what they want.
Bonus mag.
Yeah, buddy.
Bonus mag for the win.